Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be covering Allstate, evaluating the company, evaluating their financials they just released on their earnings call, and going through my valuation of Allstate to see if it's a good buy or if it's a stock I should sell. I'm currently a stockholder of Allstate, and Allstate's had their ups and downs. Their past 4 quarters haven't been all that great, but the future 4 quarters look really promising. They actually look really good. I'm going to take a look at their financials and go through an evaluation and determine what I think the stock is worth, then make a decision whether I should buy, hold, or sell. Do me a favor and like my video and subscribe to my channel, and also leave a comment on Allstate. Now let me get into my process and evaluate Allstate. I like to cover 4 key metrics of a company and then make a decision to buy, hold, or sell. The first metric is, do I want to be a part owner in the company, and do I want to be part of the industry? The second is, do I believe the management team's doing a good job operating the business? Third, balance sheet. Is debt less than 3 times EBITDA? 4 is price. Am I getting a good discount on the stock? And based on the answers to those questions, I'll buy, hold, or sell. So Allstate provides a variety of insurance products. You can insure your home, your car with Allstate. What makes insurance companies interesting is that they're collecting premiums on all these policies, and they get to hold this cash and invest it. And with higher interest rates, I think it becomes more lucrative for an insurance company to be holding all this policy money and investing it. And I think that's going to be one of the tailwinds of Allstate going forward, is that, as you'll see in their balance sheet, they are holding a high amount of cash and short-term investments that they're going to be getting a better yield on going forward. So it's an interesting time to look at an insurance company. I think that better times are ahead for the company. Overall, I think Allstate's brand's really solid. I think they're a very well-known insurance company. I think it's well operated. Their management team does a good job of selling products that they are profitable in and not taking too much risk as an insurer. Looking at their revenues and profitability, it's good to see that revenues have increased almost 10% if you look at the most recent quarter that was closed. If you look at the first 9 months year over year, they're up almost 12% top line revenues. Really good. If you could see that the third quarter of 2022 was an unprofitable one, but they're really making their move to become profitable again. So they are back on the track to be profitable. And if you look at their next 4 quarters of profitability, their earnings per share looks really good. And I'll get into that later as I value the stock. Their balance sheet is rock solid. They have a lot of fixed income investments as well as cash on their balance sheet. And they're able to take all these investments and get a yield on them. And if you consider how much you can make on $63 billion, well, interest rates are pretty high now. So an insurance company can really start making a very good return on those really safe investments. So that's one thing to keep in mind about their balance sheet. What I'm going to do is I look at their balance sheet is I'm going to look at all of their investments as well as cash and compare it to all their liabilities for their reserves for their insurance policies as well as their debt. And combine those two, I believe it's this $40.6 billion number plus an almost $8 billion number. I'm going to compare the two and make sure they have plenty of liquidity as a company. So as mentioned, with interest rates going up, the returns that Allstate has are going up as well. If you look at their performance-based returns, the internal rate of return is 19.3%, which is very good. It's actually ahead of the S&P. So if they can invest right, which I believe they can, with these higher interest rates, I think Allstate's going to have really profitable years for 2024 and 2025. Allstate produces good free cash flow. Looking at the first 9 months of 2023, they generated $3 billion of cash flow from operations. We need to take away capital investments, and that's down here where they actually bought $196 million of property and equipment, but they also sold some property and equipment a little bit. So they're a little under 180 million of capital investments, which will decrement from this number to get to our free cash flow figure. And I'll use that number to calculate the value of Allstate and try to determine what each share is worth. I believe that Allstate stock is discounted by 38%. I believe that each share is worth about $178 per share, but the stock market will sell you shares at $129. I get to that valuation looking at two different valuations. First is cash flow. I'm taking the cash flow I just showed on the statement of cash flows and annualizing that number and getting to $3.7 billion is what I expect they're going to do in 2023. I'm going to grow that by 3% and just grow that gradually, as well as terminal value. I'm going to grow it by 3%. And these are all cash flows that I expect after year 4. They've had a couple rough years, so I'm going to use a higher weighted average cost of capital than I would typically use on an insurance company to get to an intrinsic value of all those free cash flows of $47.7 billion. I'm going to add all the investments in cash on their balance sheet, but take away all the reserves and debt on their balance sheet to get to an equity value of $47.7 billion. Their market cap is about $34 billion. So it offers up about a 47% discount if we look at the cash flow, free cash flow valuation method to try to get to a value of a particular company. Earnings per share going forward looks really good. They should have a prosperous 2024. These are numbers that analysts have agreed is expected. And based on those numbers in a PE, which is normal for insurance companies to be at 20 PE, a growth rate of 3%, I'm going to discount all those earnings per share that I expect in the future and get to a stock value of $154 per share. But shares are being sold for $129. So looking at earnings per share, it's actually discounted by 20%. I'm going to blend these two numbers and I'm going to put more weight on the free cash flow method. And based on that combination, I get a 38% discount. Again, I put 2/3 weight of my valuation on free cash flow, 1/3 on earnings per share to drive to this valuation. Looking at where the stock's traded for the last year, it was trading up around $140 a share, but it really came down in the March timeframe, and it's pretty much stayed down for 6 months or so. More recently, over the last month and a half, it's really had a nice rally. It's gone from about $110 per share up to $130. So it's a nice little run up toward the end of the year here. Year to date, it is down 5%. It pays a 2.75% dividend, which is nice to get out of an insurance company. And they've been buying back shares. So is Allstate a buy, a hold, or a sell for me? Well, let's take a look. First, do I want to be part owner in Allstate? Do I like the industry? Yes. I think Allstate's a very good company, good brand, good management team. And I like the industry. I like holding a couple of insurance companies. I think they have a lucrative business. And as mentioned, with higher interest rates, I think insurance companies can make more money. The management team's doing an excellent job. I like that they are repairing the business, and 2024 looks really good. Debt is under control, less than 3 times EBITDA. And I'm getting a fair discount on this quality company. So I'm going to buy more shares of Allstate. So that's my analysis on Allstate, my decision to continue to buy shares in this company. Insurance companies could be quite lucrative, and I really like that with higher interest rates, they're going to be making more money. Do me a favor and comment on my video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Allstate. Also, please like my video and subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate that. With that, good luck investing for the remainder of 2023.